Hello, my name is Vikki Jones and I am the Talent Development Manager for UK New Artists. We are a nationally focused organisation working with early career artists from across all disciplines. And today I am joined by Rachel Baynton, who is the Associate Professor Creative Engagement Producer for the University of Lincoln and an interdisciplinary artist and theatre maker and co-artistic director of Prototype Theatre. And today we are going to be talking about how to go about selecting the right university for you. So whether you are knee deep in a UCAS statement or just starting to think about your next steps, we hope this is a useful introduction. So there are over 160 universities in the UK offering hundreds, possibly thousands of different courses and subjects. And knowing where to start, what to look for, and how to decide which 5 to include on UCAS form can feel like a big job. So if you are feeling overwhelmed by all, don't worry, you are definitely not alone. And over the next 30 minutes or so, Rachel and I are going to talk through kind of top tips and questions to think about in your quest for University Wonderland. So, Rachel, thank you for joining me. And first things first, where did you go to university and how and why did you choose that uni?
Gosh, I went to a small university that now no longer exists, called Dartington College of Arts, which was accredited by the University of Plymouth. And Dartington is a tiny little village halfway between sort of near Exeter and Plymouth, down in Devon. And it was a small contemporary arts college that did university degrees. So I did a BA in devised theatre, but it was very interdisciplinary. And I thought I'd signed up for something slightly more traditional. Certainly the other courses I was applying for were very traditional kind of drama performance courses, but the Dartington one seemed cool and interesting because it was a little bit different to all the others and stood out in some ways. And when I got there, it probably wasn't quite what I thought I was signing up for, but it changed my life. Like, it changed the direction of my life. I'm so glad I went there and I had this kind of fantastic experience. And it was a really interdisciplinary course. So we worked with not just theatre students, we worked with fine art students and music students. And actually it's really set the course of my life, that I don't see my discipline as like I just do theatre or I just do art. That actually I see the joins and how they talk to each other. And university, yeah, really set me on that path. It's what I've built my career on.
Nice. I went to Coventry University, and I won't lie, the first thing that brought me to Coventry was that year, the front of the prospectus was covered in tiny cartoon people. And in a big pile of prospectuses on my friend Hannah's living room floor, it was the first one that I was like, oh, that looks interesting. I'll pick that one up. And went, oh, hold on, they do dance. That's helpful. And kind of applied for, looked at an array of other universities and applied for others at the same time, but Coventry was kind of my first choice. I think because I lived in Nottingham, I still live in Nottingham, but I was from Nottingham and I was quite a home bird and I didn't want to travel too far, but I wanted to be far enough that I felt like I'd gone at least a little bit down the road. I couldn't turn up at home if I felt sad one night, but equally I wasn't miles and miles away should I really want to go home for the weekend. So kind of an hour down the road felt far enough but not too far. And it was a city campus, which I liked because I felt like you were in the city and there was good crossover between the other courses in the arts, which was really nice. And they had very helpfully just had some beautiful new dance studios finished literally about 3 weeks before the open day. And I was like, oh yeah, these are like proper dance studios. I suddenly imagined myself in a kind of, leotard skipping round all the mirrored rooms and was like, this is the place for me. So
I had the exact opposite because I mean it does say under my name badge here that I'm at University of Lincoln, but I was born in Lincoln, and at university I couldn't wait to go as far away
as
as
far as
possible. As
possible.
far away from, which is weird when it says that I'm back at Lincoln now, and there is a reason for all of this. But yeah, I wanted to go as far away as humanly possible. I wanted to get, especially because when I was a kid, many moons ago, you couldn't do theatre and art and performance and all of this great stuff in Lincoln in the ways that I wanted to do it. The University of Lincoln had just been built, and at that time it didn't have a theatre course, and theatre was where I was really interested in. And so I was looking just further afield. And actually, I looked at a whole host of things. I looked at kind of proper drama schools, and I looked at theatre studies courses at university. And then, yeah, this weird experimental one out in Dartington in deepest, darkest Devon, and wasn't quite sure. But was very sure that I wanted to have the adventure. I wanted to get out. I wanted to go away. I wanted to be like a good, long, chunky train journey away. And I was never coming back to Lincoln. There's a really kind of nice full circleness that now I get to teach on all of the courses that were the reasons that I
Didn't exist.
actually, yeah, we're building this amazing thing back here, and I get to be a part of helping people like me do the things that I like in my
That's a
city.
really nice full
It's
circle.
wonderful full circle.
I wasn't brave enough for the adventure. I wish I had been, maybe, thinking back. But yeah, I
Very
wanted to be
expensive
far, but
train.
not too far. But yeah, I mean, trains, there wasn't a direct train, which I did used to sit at Nuneaton Station for an hour waiting for my connection, feeling like, oh, maybe I should have just gone further away anyway and just used that time elsewhere. But it was all good. So I should say to anybody watching, Rachel is in Lincoln, and there's a big old cathedral in Lincoln with some really big bells. And in about 15 minutes, they're going to really go for it. So don't panic. Rachel's not under siege. It's just the cathedral, and
Great big church ringing,
we'll
yeah.
pause if we need to, and then carry on. So when you're starting, when you're there, you think, okay, maybe university is the right thing, or I absolutely want to go to university, but I've no idea where or how or what. What questions do you advise people start by asking themselves?
I guess for me, I mean, I didn't even want to go to university when I left. I'd left school here in Lincoln, and I didn't want to go to university. And I worked for 2 years. I was adamant I'd had enough studying, and I was going to work for 2 years, and yeah, I was going to start my career. And I worked at Claire's Accessories for a long time, doing ear piercing. And after a little while of ear piercing and selling nail files, I had this itch and thought, oh, maybe I do want to, maybe I don't want to be doing this forever. It's been great when I've put a roof over my head and I've put food on my table, and I'm a qualified ear piercer now, brilliant. But maybe this isn't a forever thing. Maybe I'd like to do something else now. And I did start thinking about university. So I guess the first question I would say to everyone is why are you going? Think about why you're going. And sometimes that's as simple as all my mates are going, like we're all going, and it's just the thing that we do, which is fine and is totally valid. But at that point, you need to think about which course you want and what it's going to do for you. What are you hoping to get out of it? And you're going to get loads of different things out of a university course. I mean, obviously the learning, you're going to get specialism and expertise in a subject. Then you're going to meet people from all walks of life that you've never encountered before. You're going to have that opportunity to move away from home, to kind of grow as a person. You've got all of these amazing reasons to go. So I guess it's worth thinking about what matters to you, what you're hoping to get out of it. And even if you don't know what your career plans, I've never known what I want to be when I grow up. I have never ever known what, and I find myself increasingly grown up, still don't really know what I want to be when I grow up. But I guess I've said this before, I want to be doing good art stuff with good art people. So I wanted to put myself in a place where I met lots of people and got to do interesting things. So I guess, yeah, your first question is what are you hoping to gain? Are you someone who really is kind of into your studies? Are you someone who's really kind of scholarly and you love reading and you love interrogating and analysing and critiquing and writing? Do you want that kind of much more theoretical course? Are you someone who's really practically focused and you want to do something really hands-on? Are you a mixture of both? I was a bit of both, and I liked how the research informs the practice. And the practice informs the research. I always like that. So it's thinking that those things, how do you like to learn? What do you want to get out of it? And how far is your adventure going to take you? Like, are you going all the way to the end of the country? Are you going to a different country? Are you going to somewhere close by? And none of these are good choices or bad choices. They just have to be the choices that are right for you, and it will be unique and bespoke to everybody.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think there's sometimes a danger of following what all your friends have said they're going to do, or what your tutors at college or what your parents suggest
Yeah,
to
yeah,
do. I went to a sixth form where it was kind of just expected that you were all going to go to university. And so I don't think I ever really questioned that not going was even an option, although I was the first person in my family to go. All of my friends were going, and I was like, well, I'll just do that then. And I'm really glad that I did. But I think that initial why am I going was probably a question I never really asked myself. And I do think, to be really blunt, when I went to university, it only costed £1,000 a year. You can, there's a much bigger financial implication now. And I do think
sure.
students have to and are being much more thoughtful about why it is that they're going and what they're hoping to get out of it, so that, yeah, if you're coming out with 40 plus worth of debt sometimes in terms of your kind of student loan and maintenance and everything, that can be a big factor for some people, financially,
Yeah,
when you're
it's
making
a
those
lot of
choices,
money and
what
it's a
needs
big
to consider.
investment. Yeah, it's a big investment in your future and in your career. And I mean, I think something that our head of school here at Lincoln's fond of saying to people, because they go, I'm paying a lot of money to be here. And we're like, yeah, this is it's kind of a really, really expensive gym membership for your brain.
Yeah,
And so it's really important that if you are spending all that money to go and do this thing, that it's going to be something that you're going to use that gym. And it's not going to be that you've just gone to university because your mates did, but
yeah.
actually you've gone to a university, you've signed on to a course that's going to fulfill you and is going to make you excited to go, is going to make you excited to get into the gym. I'm going to keep torturing this metaphor. It's going to make you excited to go in there, to use it and to work out your brain and to take as much as you can out of it, because you could just have that expensive gym membership and never get any fitter. Like if you don't, you can just keep paying and not use it. So actually it wants to be something that's going to be right for you for that myriad of reasons: location, place, people, and of course the course. And it's something that I think I was supposed to be a lawyer. I think my folks wanted me to be a lawyer, and I
Okay.
very definitely didn't want to be. I definitely wanted to do drama. Like I was going to be on the stage. That was my great plan. And it seems to have worked out. I think I would have not
Yeah,
been a
you've
good
done all right.
I think I would have not been a good lawyer. I think I wonder if had I gone and done that, maybe I don't know. You can't play the what if game. I don't know. Maybe I'd have enjoyed it, and maybe I'd have taken some pleasure in the courtroom drama performance of it all. But I'm not sure I'd have been as invested and engaged as I was, and really used that expensive gym membership, really like taking
Yeah.
advantage of every opportunity, because I was doing a course that aligned with what I was passionate in. It helped me to take the most from it, and you're taking more from it than your qualification. Like the BA is great. Okay, you're getting your degree qualification's a brilliant thing, and it's fantastic to try and aim for something like a first. For the record, I was less than 1% off a first in the day,
Oh,
rounded up. Still not bitter.
not over that.
No one's ever asked me what degree qualification I got. They just asked me
No.
what my degree was, not
Yeah.
what grade it was. And actually, what I got out of it was so much more. And I think what I see students getting out of it is always so much more than whatever the grade is. It's the learning, it's the people they meet, it's the experiences that they have, and it's the critical analytical thinking. Any undergraduate course in any subject, almost no matter the subject, is going to give you critical thinking skills, is going to give you the ability to work with others, is going to give you broadened horizons, an expanded mind. You're going to encounter stuff that challenges you and excites you. And so if that's something that's kind of in your wheelhouse and something that you enjoy, and it can align and really, it can really kind of cohese and align nicely for you if you kind of bring all these elements together, that you're seeing it as more than the mark you get on the paper.
Hugely, hugely. I grew as a human infinitely more outside of those course kind of hours
Yeah.
than I think I ever imagined I would. I think I got to university and suddenly realised actually I didn't really know a lot about the world, to be quite fair. I'd lived a very sheltered upbringing in a very small suburb of a big city, and just kind of got on with life and went and met a whole load of people in a different place and went like, oh, okay, and learned a lot about myself and my limits and my strengths and so on. I do think I'm a really big advocate of picking your course, obviously it needs to be something you're good at, you're doing it at degree level, but doing something you enjoy,
Yeah.
absolutely doing something you're
It
passionate about,
inspires you.
because you're spending 3 years doing it. And I did dance, and I picked dance knowing, I probably knew from far before I applied for university, knowing I was never going to be a professional dancer. I was not going with the intention of I'm going to be a professional dancer. I loved dance. I still love dance more than I love pretty much anything else in the world besides my family and biscuits. But it's probably part of the
Nice.
reason why I was never going to make a professional dancer, my love of biscuits. But I knew I was good, but I wasn't good enough. But I just figured, if I'm going to spend 3 years doing something, I want to do something I really love. And
Yeah.
I felt maybe slightly blasely so confident that something would come out of it. I didn't know starting what the job was I was aiming for, but that there would be jobs at the other end that I could do, because as you say, there are so many skills that you gain through all BA level courses,
Hugely. Yeah.
that I felt like, okay, it doesn't matter specifically whether or not I'm going with the intention of dance being the thing. Um, but it's something I love, and if I'm going to spend 3 years doing it and get,
Yeah. Something that you
and
can
spend
invest
money
in,
doing
something you
it,
think is important, something you can
if
believe
you
in.
absolutely, and I say to all of the young people I work with, like, if you wake up in the morning, the first thing you want to do, should you get the choice, is draw or sing or paint or dance or perform in some context, then you know what you love doing. Like, that's the, sometimes it's scary to face that a bit and be like, oh, that is my thing. And especially when the world and the media and probably your parents and other members of your family are being like, it's not a very financially viable career path, which is what my uncle sat me down and said once. But I was like, I don't, I'm not worried about that right now. I don't feel like I should start my university career going, oh, well, I might not get paid a lot at the end. That can't be my focus, the pay packet. It has to be what I want to spend my time and my life doing, and what can I spend 3 years doing that will help me do that.
There's a real agenda at the moment around kind of what is a valuable degree course to you. If you're spending money on that expensive gym membership, will it be valuable? At the other end, will you be able to have these particular markers of esteem and I don't know, whatever those markers of esteem are, that you're going to have these kind of the big house and the fancy car and actually I think that's not the measure of value we should be living our lives by, is the things that you can buy at the other end of your degree.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, roof over your head, food on your table is a huge number one priority there. Don't get me wrong. We need sustainable careers, and especially in art subjects. I would say if you're doing an art subject course, find one that talks to you about things like working in arts and cultural industries, working in the creative industries. Find one that gives you those skills and talks to you about sustainable careers. But there is so much value in any degree course you do, and especially in the creative arts courses, because they are more than cash value. They bring value in so many other ways, in terms of quality of life and human experience and critical thinking and all of these wonderful things that we can do. Like, they make the things that make life worth living. I always use the example of in lockdown, when we couldn't do anything, all anyone wanted to do was engage with arts and creative things. They wanted to do things that made life worth living. And so people were, watching Netflix or engaging with performance online, or trying to do events together and create things and craft and make and draw and paint and sing and share this stuff. And it was the things that we live for. And you could just see how important all of this kind of arts and culture and creativity stuff was. It was absolutely writ large for us. So yeah, I guess there's thinking about something that you really enjoy, something you want to do, something you're passionate about, and something that's, think about, that value isn't always monetary. Actually, that value can be in so many other ways.
No, absolutely. So you've started to look, you've started to have a think. You know that there are some open days for some universities. How important is it to go to open days if you can? And how else can you find out those things if you can't make it? I appreciate if you're living in Plymouth and want to look at St Andrews, that's a hell of a journey to go for a day and
For
may not be
sure.
achievable. But how, yeah, if you have the opportunity to go to open days, how important do you think that is? And how else might you find that information out if that's not an option to you?
So, I mean, my son's literally just gone to university this year. He's just started. Hello. We so we, he couldn't go to open days when he was picking his UCAS options. He had some online open days to attend of varying quality. Some of them were really good and some were really informative and provided lots of resources online. And some of them were less useful and less informative, especially when we were shut down like that. But I guess that's comparable to not being able to attend an open day in person, that actually he had to pick his UCAS choices off of what he found on those university websites and what they provided in terms of online open day events. There's the cathedral going. It's going to do all of it. Post lockdown, he was able to, once he'd made his UCAS selections, attend some of the open days for the places he'd already selected. And I think just even that experience that we've just gone through, it was hugely eye-opening, because he rejigged the order of the places that he was interested in going based on his experience of attending there. So what had been his first choice after attending their open day was no longer his first choice, because the open day, they didn't showcase what was happening at the university. He couldn't see himself living there, working there, studying there. It didn't feel right. Yet he went to another place where he is now and felt welcome and warm and could just see himself inhabiting that campus, being in that space, being with those people, attending these lessons and courses. And I think we know it as well from students who talk to us here at Lincoln after our open days, that the amount of people that say to us, well, Lincoln was on my list, and then I came and I had it's such a beautiful city, and the campus is right slap bang in the middle, and we're by the Brayford, which is a big old Roman pool of water that's full of swans and geese and ducks, and it's just, it's a beautiful campus, and people always say that we are friendly and warm and welcoming. And I know that's what we're putting on for the day. That's what we're putting on for open day. We're showing you this, but it's not a lie. We're kind of showing you who we are and what we do. And I think, the amount of people that say to us, like, I've come here and the open days really firmed this up for me, or in my son's case, the open day really changed his mind for him. I think if you can go, you're going to be spending 3 years of your life in that place. It's nice even if you can't go for an official open day, to wander around the campus and to go and see the place is really useful. I think open days are great because you can hopefully, if on a good open day, and this is how you mark a good open day, you should get to speak to students on that course. They should be there. But we have student ambassadors who'll tell you everything and anything about what they're doing and what they're up to. So you should get to meet students. You should get a tour of the campus and the facilities and where you'll be studying. You should hopefully, ideally, get a talk from your head of department, your head of subject. You should get some talks about finance. You should get lots and lots. A good open day will really set you up to be in the best place to go, this place is for me. This is where I want to be. And a bad open day will make you go, no, thanks.
Yeah.
I think it's
really well.
I think it's useful. I think, you can find out a lot on brochures. You can find out a lot online. And I mean, when I went to university, I was self-funding, and I wasn't coming from my parents' home to do this. I'd been living on my own and and I remember going to an open day where they did the subject talk and the finance talk at the same time. They did the finance talk for the parents and the subject talk for the students, and I couldn't go to both. I couldn't split myself in two. So I really appreciate, like, it's really hard to get to places, and it's really hard to be able to get a kind of grip on all of this stuff, especially if you're doing it on your own or you're doing it without kind of support, or there's a myriad of reasons that it can be difficult. But reach out to that university if you're struggling to get there, and ask them and say, I can't come to this open day. Is there any way I can find out more? Is there anyone that might have a phone conversation with me? That's something we do. If someone can't come in person, we might have a Zoom call with somebody, or we might have a phone chat with them and just answer some of their questions in person. And people will be free to do that. And if they, if they're a good uni, they'll talk to you.
Yeah. And I think that's that's a good way of gauging quite quickly how good the uni is and kind of how communicative they are. I always feel like if they're good at communicating with you before you're a student of theirs, they're probably going to look after you pretty well once you are.
Yeah.
If
You
they're
feel
not too
warm and welcome
interested,
before. Yeah.
yeah, they're not too interested in you before you're one of their own, so to speak. That always is slight alarm bells for me, like, okay, maybe you're not the kind of
It's
warm and welcome
dating, isn't it?
environment I
You're
want.
picking your university based on the first
Absolutely,
impression and what they
absolutely.
show you. It's dating. You want them to show you what they've got and why you should be interested in them. You know, these universities are lucky to have you. They are lucky to
Yeah,
have your interest and are lucky to have you coming in with your energy and your skill and your creativity and your talent and all of these things that you've got. Like, our students are our most important thing, and so they, yeah, if they're not treating you good before you get there, that's a red
yeah,
flag.
yeah, absolutely. I think open days are always also a good opportunity to see accommodation and to see kind of where most students are living. And there seems to be, particularly in Nottingham at least, there's like a bazillion university tower blocks going up around the city. As a city with two unis, there's student accommodation kind of going up everywhere, but there's still a lot of kind of inner city, kind of more residential housing. And I think it's really useful to be able to see, the reality of like, okay, where would I be living? How far is it from where the campus is? How much is it going to cost? What's the setup? To think about, okay, am I the kind of person that wants to, in the first year, lots of people go into kind of halls, as they call it,
Yes.
and you kind of share accommodation with a larger group. So I had obviously my own room, but I shared a kitchen with 13 other people. And I was really excited about that because it was a really quick way of meeting a
Lots of
big bunch
yeah.
of people from different courses at different points, at different stages, and to just kind of really introduce myself to a wider pool of people and potential friends, essentially. Whereas I know other friends of mine at universities they went to specifically went, I don't want to look at halls actually. I'd rather live in a house with maybe one or two other people. One person had a very flush granny who bought them a house, which I was like, well, I mean, that that's not quite the offer that all of us have available, but she had a nice time, so I used to argue.
I
And
did
I
halls
think,
in my first year, and then moved out into the town nearby my university in the second year, and lived with friends for my second and third year. And I think that's quite a common thing to
yeah,
do, is to start off in
yeah,
halls and then is to perhaps move out
move
into
off.
smaller group shared accommodation when you've got people that you might want to move with. But yeah, we've got lots and lots of and different types of halls now. You know, you kind of have lots of different accommodation. You might be sharing in smaller groups with a smaller kind of number of people sharing a kitchen. You might be in bigger groups, lots of different accommodation in different campuses, different places. I think something that was important for me was I absolutely wanted a campus-based experience, because I couldn't drive and I didn't want to be having to travel a long way between where I was staying and where my university was.
Yeah,
So I wanted to make sure that everything was walkable and everything was close. I mean, I came from Lincoln, where everything's walkable and everything's close, so I never learned to drive, and everything was kind of at my fingertips. And I think that was important for me when I was choosing university, that I knew that I was going to be able to easily, under my own steam, get from my accommodation,
yeah,
which and know what that was like, to be able to go to my courses, to know what the facilities were like, to know what specialist facilities as well for for individual subjects. So for example, for you, for dance, to know that you've got dance studios at a place is useful. For me, it was making sure that we've got kind of theatre and studio spaces for our fine arts students. We've got big gallery spaces. It's making sure that those facilities are there and are useful. I think something that was attractive to me as well was that the university I chose had a working theatre on its campus. So
mm-hmm.
public audiences were coming to see shows on campus, and also artists from elsewhere were coming in. So we were seeing artwork and theatre work from all across the world that was happening like literally on our
Yeah,
doorstep at my university. And
mm-hmm.
I really rate that. If you're doing a course, whatever specialism, to understand how it connects to that wider sector, to industry, to that bigger picture, is massively important. Are you getting visiting lecturers? Are you getting guest speakers? Are you getting artworks coming to your gallery? Are you getting great theatre in your spaces? Is this stuff happening there and then? Because not only do you get then really easily exposed to all of that great stuff, but it's professionalizing, it's network building, right? You can have a guest speaker, whatever subject you're studying, a guest speaker, and you ask a question, and you get yourself known, you say hello to them, you follow up with an email, you start to broaden those networks, and you have opportunity to meet people who are walking the walk and talking the talk of the thing that you want to do. So I think, yeah, that's a useful thing as well, on maybe to ask on an open day, or to ask on a phone call, is like, what connections does this university have to people who are doing the things that we are training in? Who comes and visits us?
Would you would you go as far as researching the teaching staff? I ask because I did, but I don't know
Did
whether
you?
that's something that people would actively encourage. I mean, to be fair, I went to university long enough ago that Google was not quite as Google is now, so it was harder. But I didn't want,
But
I
you're
wasn't
describing
like,
stalking now.
I'm not suggesting stalking. I was just about to say, I am absolutely not suggesting stalking, but I mean researching and kind of looking at if they are. So a lot of my lecturers were part-time lecturers and part-time working as practicing artists. And actually, I was interested in, okay, what does your practice look like?
Yeah.
I've always been very interested in art in a community context and working with art in that sense, as opposed to the kind of professional performance side of dance. And so I wanted to know the tutors that I was going to be taught by, what their interests were and what their experiences were and the kind of work they were interested in making. And partly I chose the university I did because the three core tutors all had very similar kind of ethos in terms of why they made work and who they made it for, to what I felt I wanted to do with my passion for dance. So I know whenever I say like, oh, research the staff, but it was like, I don't mean type them into Twitter. Like that's not what I'm suggesting
No,
at
but
all. But looking
universities
at their
a staff page. So like
yeah,
we've got one, and I keep mine very up to date for people like you who might be hunting me down and having a look at what I do. But I'm proud of what I do in terms of the work I do with the uni and with the students. I'm also proud of the professional career I have outside of the uni, and how those two things inform each other. The theatre work, the broadcast, the stuff I do outside of university feeds into my teaching, and I want my students to know that I'm the real deal and I'm qualified to do the
yeah,
things. I'm speaking from experience. I am speaking from having I'm further along the road. I've gone out and made some of the mistakes for them so that they don't have to make them, and I can help them maybe look for those potholes in the road. I'm torturing
yeah.
another metaphor, but I think, yeah, I think it's essential that your staff are great teachers foremost. Like, just because you're a very learned person or very good at your job doesn't mean you're a good teacher. So I think it's really important that they're good teachers. um, I think it's vital that if your course is going to be teaching something practical, that you have members of staff that are actually engaged in the practice. And in terms of the theory and research, that those researchers, those people on your teaching team who are engaged in research or engaged in critical thinking, are kind of shaping the field in whatever subject and discipline, that they are at the cutting edge of that they're writing the books, they're writing the articles. Like, if you're going to go and research someone, can you find anything written by them? Can you go and read an article they've read? Can you find a little video of them talking about their work? Most university web pages will have a staff list, and those staff lists should have a biography next to them, and it should say what that staff member does and the things that they're involved in, and maybe something about their disciplines and the kinds of things that they teach, or some of their specialisms. So yeah, you can go and look for that stuff. I think more importantly than going for a rock star, though, if you find one lecturer and you go, oh, I must be taught by them, they could just be the rock star in their team, and you never actually end up getting taught by them in the whole 3 years of your degree.
I will say one of the three lecturers that I went for left in the summer before I started.
So what
So
you're
yes,
looking for, you're looking for
absolutely
like
don't
a
do that.
balance. Yeah, you want a team. So go and have a look at and have a look at that, cross that teaching team on your discipline, on your subject, and go and have a read about all of them and see what they all do, and think, on balance, is this Have I got some good researchers? Have I got some good practitioners? Have I got some great teachers? What have I got this kind of holistic picture? Because you're going to meet lots of different staff along the way. And you know, your 3-year journey through a BA, you are going to be taught by some staff more than once, some staff not at all. Some of them you might never meet, some might leave, some new ones might come in. But looking at those kind of biographies and that balance of staff not only tells you about who's there now, but also the kind of people that department employs and likes and values and what the things they value. You're kind of reading that critical analysis of tech. You're reading between the lines by looking at what the university says about itself online and who its staff are. It's really useful, I think. Yeah, it's not stalky. It's just sensible. If you're going to go and work with and alongside a group of people, and you can find out about who they are and what they do in advance, why not? It's as much part of learning about what the course is to learn about who's going to be delivering that course to you.
Yeah, for sure. What about researching alumni?
I think that's a mixed bag. I think all university websites will put their alumni up there and you'll get some stories, and I think that's useful. But I think everyone's journey is a bit unique and individual, and you can't, not all alumni reporting data and those kind of figures, we don't always find out about at the university level. We don't know what everyone's gone on to do. Some people keep in brilliant touch. I got a lovely email from a student yesterday who's currently traveling the world, but she was telling me how some of her studies with us have led her on to doing, she was doing the doing a BA in drama, and it's led on now into an arts marketing MA, and she's doing arts and events management marketing, and she just wrote to me to say where she was and what she was up to and what a great time she's having. And it was brilliant to hear from her. So we get informal information like that, but I'm not putting that on the website because it was a personal email to me, but I know that that alumni is thriving and is doing enormously well. And we have a good alumni network here at Lincoln. We've got kind of Facebook groups and an alumni thing, but it's hard. Most universities will usually put a list of their famous alumni, or if you go to a Wikipedia page, it might tell you a list of their famous alumni, but it doesn't really say a lot because, you know, there are famous and lucky people from all walks of life, from all kinds of places. I think, yeah, graduate outcomes data can only sort of take you so far because the testing's imperfect. It comes at a strange, and for some courses you might walk straight out of your degree into a graduate job really neatly and it might be really obvious career trajectory, whereas some courses, particularly creative arts courses, that road to full-time employment doesn't look the same. It's not sort of the old days where you'd join an organisation, work there for 30 years and get the gold watch at the end with a fond farewell and have a job for life. Actually, lots of people in our portfolio career, they move between roles, they freelance, they do all sorts of different things. So that kind of testing and surveying of what graduate outcomes are and what is, again, valuable, it might be catching people at different points. It's not giving you an absolute kind of a true baseline. I think word of mouth's useful. If you know someone who's been to a university, talk to them, but remember, of course, it's just their opinion. Different people will have, you know, mileage may vary. Different people have different experiences. So I'm not sure about researching alumni. I think it can, you know, maybe it's indicative in some ways, but I don't think it necessarily gives you the true picture because your journey will be different to somebody else's.
It's a question I get asked quite a lot, or people say like, oh, I know that, you know, this, and then name some kind of big name in theatre or big name in art went there, as though that therefore means it's absolutely got to be the place to go because they went there. And
I did an audition
really
for a drama school that had got these phenomenal alumni, like names you've heard of, I won't name and shame, but names you have heard of, proper actors, proper like. So, and I went for an audition and it was one of the worst experiences of my life going for this audition at this drama school. And I did also speak to students who are currently studying there, and they're like, yeah, we never met any of them. They don't come here. They just put their photos on the walls.
Yeah, I think you make some really solid points that maybe might encourage people not to not hang their hat just on that kind of one.
Just on a big name. Yeah, name recognition's not useful. What you want is you want a course that you feel that you can align with. You want a place you feel like you can belong, that's welcoming of you and is going to nurture and support you.
So finally, in terms of practical courses and thinking in terms of arts, kind of dance and theatre, those kind of performing arts courses, the audition process,
Ah,
or those universities that do audition and those
don't.
universities that don't audition. And what's your advice on that? Kind of, I felt applying when, back in the day, I felt really passionate, like I should go to somewhere that had auditioned me because then they'd seen me in action, so to speak.
Yep.
But I've spoken to numerous people since who went to other universities that didn't audition them, that in an array of ways maybe had a more positive experience in terms of their performance aspects. So evidently it wasn't as important for them to be seen doing that beforehand. I just, as somebody that works for university, kind of what's your advice on somebody that's maybe being asked to go to auditions or is not being asked to go to auditions and
Yeah.
wondering whether that's
Yeah.
something to think about?
I've got thoughts and opinions on this. I've got T's and O's. Um, I think, firstly, if they are charging you to audition, that is a big old red flag. That's a
Yeah,
no,
red
no, no,
tails.
no, no. I mean, I'm being hugely opinionated here. Yeah. Other universities do other things, but I think if they're charging you for the privilege of auditioning, they are more interested in your cash than they are in you. And I know that there's lots and lots of top, tippy top places that will charge you to audition. And I mean, I did that when I was applying for university. I paid for my train fare. I paid to stay. I was working. I was earning my own money. I was paying my own way. I paid for my train fare to stay overnight and to audition at a top place. And the experience was horrendous. And after we'd all auditioned, and there was about 200 of us in this room, they went, well, thanks very much everyone for coming. We've only really got space for boys now, but we thought we'd just keep the process going. And this was a few years ago. I think they'd be slammed for it now. This was a good few years ago. But yeah, they got us all down there. We all paid our 50 quid audition fee or whatever it was. And they said, yes, we've only got space for boys. So we just thought we'd keep auditioning in case anyone surprised us. But we've been doing these big auditions for about 6 months now, one a week for 6 months. We only need boys. We're oversubscribed with girls. So yeah, I've
Wow.
got personal beef with paying for auditions for supposedly top places. So that's one. I don't always think it's a marker of how good a place is or isn't as to whether they audition or not. And I mean, at Lincoln, we've done a mixture. Sometimes we've tried auditioning, we've tried not auditioning, we've done group auditions and workshops, we've done individual ones, we've done interviews, and so we do mix it up a bit and we try different things. And I think with sort of varying results, actually. I think just because a place doesn't offer you an audition, that's not necessarily an indication that it's a bad place to go. I think what the worst auditions do is make you feel humiliated and make you feel like you're not good enough to be there. What the best auditions should do is make it clear that they are looking for a kind of fit with what they do. So it might be that and this is the same for all audition processes, never mind university audition processes. But often the people who are auditioning are looking for particular skills and qualities, or the potential for particular skills and qualities, because they know that they'll be able to teach and nurture that the best. So you might come in and be really, really great, but you might not get through that audition process because that university is going, they're going to need support in these kind of ways. And actually our course is more like this, or we do more of these things. It's the same with interviews. Interviews and auditions are very, auditions are kind of a physical interview, for one of a practical interview. Sometimes we are looking for fit. And if someone comes in and says, I want to do this, 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 and this, and be this, we sometimes think, we're not the place for you. Actually, you should be going somewhere else. If you want to work in that field, that's not the kind of things we do. So, I mean, as an example, we do a really good mixture of research and practice. So if we have people coming in saying that, I only want to do a practical course, then we have to make it very clear at interview or audition stage and say, no, we believe in a mixture. That's what we do. We think they're both important and they're both vital, and that research and practice feed each other. We're not purely this. Or if someone wants to come in and be purely academic, and we go, you're going to have to, you have to get up and do some practical stuff. You are going. That's part of the course. So sometimes we are looking for, in an audition process, you're looking for fit. You're looking that you will be able to, as a university, as a teaching team, you will be able to give that person the things that they say they need. So yeah, I think auditions can be kind of cruel and vicious in those ways. I think certainly for some courses, specifically dance, it's useful to audition because, again, maybe you need to have a base level of ability or competency to be able to join in, because there'd be nothing worse than starting your course and not being up to speed. But universities are learning environments, so I wouldn't be afraid of auditions. No
Mm.
one's expecting you to be perfect at an audition. No one's expecting, because if you were perfect, why would you be coming to
Yeah,
a
you
place
wouldn't
to
be able to
learn?
do that. Yeah.
Yeah. So no one's expecting perfection. What they're expecting is that you're keen and they can see potential in you. If you're keen and engaged and energetic and like you want it, that shines out. It absolutely shines out. So yeah, I think for courses that require a particular level of competency, perhaps like dance, I can appreciate an audition might be a useful thing. And maybe it'll be a group and workshop audition where they can see how you work with other people. I know for my course, I did a group audition. I've been prepping for auditions at drama school, so I'd got my monologue and I'd got my kind of 5 minutes and I'd got all of this stuff. And then the university I ended up at, they told us to prepare for this. And actually, rather than doing individual auditions, we did a big group one where we got to use the text we prepared in interesting ways. And it totally sold me on this place because it was so unlike every other experience I'd had, which had been kind of intense and competitive and whereas this one was kind of collaborative and interdisciplinary, and people were, and I just went, this floats my boat. I didn't even know this existed. This is my wheelhouse. And to be able to do this kind of group audition process, they were just looking for how, not necessarily that I was perfect, but they were looking for that we could talk to other people, work in a group, that we were alive to it, had some energy for it, wanted it. So yeah, I'm not sure an audition is an indicator of quality. I think there are many reasons for doing it, and if they're charging you, I think that's bad.
Period.
Other
Hey,
people may disagree. I think it's bad.
hey.
They should
We
want you.
wanted thoughts and opinions, and I feel like we got them, and good thoughts and opinions there were. No, I think I agree. As someone that did dance, I had a few auditions, and there were a couple of universities that said they weren't interested in auditioning, that just wasn't part of their process. And yeah, I think at the time I was really like, but if you haven't seen me dance, how do you know if I'm any good? And I think I had not at the time considered that idea of like, actually, it's not you seeing if I'm any good, it's you seeing whether I'm interested in the same things you're going to be
Yeah,
teaching and
exactly
interested in the
that.
same things you're
We,
doing. And I
we
think you don't think about that at the time. You think, oh, you want to see if I'm great. And if I'm not great, then you won't accept me. And
and it's
I
not
think it's
that.
hard to go, no, actually, you also have maybe a set number of places on a course, and you want to make sure not that you get the best people, because you want, people that are great, but you want people that they are going to be the right fit for the university and the university the
Essential.
right fit for you. Yeah.
Sure. I mean, we do a really nice thing on the drama course, actually. I think our dance course at Lincoln does auditions. Our drama course, we will have applicant days. So on an applicant day, you'll have a one-to-one interview with the tutor. I love doing applicant days. I really love meeting students before there are students and finding out about them. And I always say this is an interview, it's a conversation, because I just want to know everything about them and why they've picked us and why do they want to come and work with us. And yeah, I really love that. Like, I've got a student in our second year right now, and I remember doing her interview in lockdown over line and online like this over lockdown, in this room at this computer, and to be able to see her career from before she even started with us all the way through is a real joy. It's brilliant. She was, shiny and keen and fantastic before she even started with us, and I went, gosh, we'd be so lucky to have that person, because they're so keen and they want to come and work with us. Goodness me, I felt like we were being interviewed, and I was grateful that she decided to come and work with us. Fabulous. But our applicant days, yeah, we mix that conversation interview in with basically a big group workshop, and we kind of attack a play text together and have some fun. And it's just about you understanding what it's like to have a kind of practical kind of seminar set up with us, what that feels like, so that you can make your choices on it, and for us to see how you kind of work with other people and get along. So it's kind of, it's almost a dual, it's not even an audition, but it's a
Yeah.
dual taster session for both the
Both of
applicant
us.
and for us. We get to see who you are and find out more about you and why you want to come here, and you get to see what we can offer. So our applicant days have been really, they're really fun, they're really joyful, and we get to just meet loads of new people, and I really like those. They feel better than an audition. They feel more useful rather than 5 minutes under pressure. Go on, show me what you've got.
Yeah.
I'm not getting the real person then. I'm
No.
getting a panicked person frantically trying to remember lines. Whereas I'd rather see who you can be when you're working with people to create something great, because that's what your career is going to look like, working with people to make something great. It's not going to look like, I've got to remember these words.
No. Brilliant. Thank you. Have you got any last fireball tips of brilliance?
Tips. I don't know. I feel like I've talked an awful lot. I guess you do you. You do you at the time you're ready for it. It took me 2 years to decide to go to university, and when I did and when I was ready, it was the best decision I've made in my life and has shaped the entire. I mean, I'm now a university lecturer, which is not something that I had ever thought was a possibility. I wasn't even going to go to university.
Yeah, that's not a ringing endorsement. I don't know what is.
And actually I take so much pleasure in seeing people go through this process of an undergraduate degree. I believe in it. I believe in it as a really useful, like, life learning thing. No matter what course you do, that it will build you as a person, and it will broaden your horizons and put you in places and locations with people that you would never have had a chance to meet. It breeds empathy. It makes us better people. Like, so find something that you love and go out and, like, wring every bit of juice out of it.
Well, I mean, that feels like the place we have to stop on those words of joyful wonder.
I don't want to be remembered for that, but I've said it now. I've said it.
Sometimes if the shoe fits. So thank you so much. Thank you to Rachel. Thank you, UK New Artists. Thank you, Voice Mag, who will be sharing this on their platform. So if you're watching through Voice and you want to get in touch with the University of Lincoln or with UK New Artists to talk about courses or talk about other programs that we have, we would really love to hear from you. You're welcome to email me at Vikki, VIKKI, at uknewartists.co.uk, and I will happily point you in the right direction to the right people. But yeah, thank you, Rachel. Thank you for watching, and we hope to hear from you soon.